Hi everyone, I'm Elna from the Historical Fabric Store and Revolutionazing Costumes, and today I want to show you some great, no, dare I say, revolutionizing techniques for stay making. So stay tuned and I will show you how to do it. Okay, so many of us have tried making stays with the old method of drawing the pattern, like the drafting in Patterns of Fashion 5, for example. But I don't like the method at all. It might lack some instructions, but I feel like it was mostly guesswork on trying to figure out where the lines were in proportion to each other. And then you still have to try the tiles out and make several of them. So then you might as well use an original pattern and try it out and adjust it to your size. That's even easier. But then I found this girl on YouTube, Maria Patti, who showed a technique she came up with, and revolutionizing. So I'm gonna show you my adjustments so it can fit anybody. So please check out her video here somewhere. So I got super excited and want to try it out right away, which I did, but as usual I have too much stomach and hips for this method to work. So it was lacking about this much for me to fit, and I was so bummed up, but I thought this is such a great base technique. It must be a way to make it fit all body types. No matter how you look, if you have big breast, big stomach, big hips, there must be a way, and I think I figured it out. So after a lot of counting and some coffees, many, and some head scratching, I think I figured it out. I came up with these adjustments to the technique that I want to show you, and this will give you a pattern that will fit you directly. You won't need the 10 mock-ups with sweat, blood and tears. This should match all body types. I have now tried it on several sizes up to size 50, European size, and you don't have to make a lot of adjustments in this one, so I think it's a great technique. I can't tell you how much this has changed my stay making. This is so much faster and so much fun. I'm really excited to share it with you, so I hope this will make it easier for you as well. I don't want us to make 5 tiles per stays. That's insane and a waste of time, so let's make this happen. Alright, so first I will show you the base of the technique and then my alterations. So here you can see the basic grid. You start with a straight vertical line, and then in the top somewhere here you draw a line out from the baseline out to the left, and this is your bust line. The bust line length is the measurement from the middle of your chest in the front and around to about 3 centimeters from your spine, where you need the lacing to be. So your boobs need to be as flat as possible when you measure this, since they are supposed to be smooshed in the stays later. So put on a sports bra or something, or just flatten them with your hand, otherwise the pattern won't fit you any good. Then we need to find out the length in between here. Now add your waist measurement here, and the same here from your front to about 3 centimeters from your spine. Okay, so now we draw the line from the bust here down to the center point in the bottom. We need to make the lines curved, and to do that we use a pen and a string, anything you have at home, and you put the string with the finger here and the pen over here, and then you draw them, so you will get a nice curve that's follow your body. From here you would draw in the lines of the stays, like this, maybe based on an original pattern or just your own design. But there's still some guesswork on how long the pieces should be and where, basically. And the biggest problem for me is that the hip measurement here is smaller than the waist. You see that? And I'm a person with very big hips, and so this is a problem for me. And I need more space here. And we all look different, so you need to put in the space wherever it is. If you're bigger here, you're bigger here. Yeah, so here is where my alterations comes in. We need to make this bigger. And how do we measure that? My first change is to make an ending line. On this line, it's not about the actual length. It needs to be here no matter what size you're doing or model. I will explain a bit further down. But this needs to be at the same space as the waist and bust line. And how long should the ending line be then? The length of this line is actually the same length as your waist. Or not your actual waist, but how long one side of the stays should be, which is 3 centimeters less than your waist. To figure this out, I tried many methods, mostly with percentages, but this would only work with my specific measurements and not scalable to everyone and all the body types. But then I realized that my ending line was the same as the waistline, or how long I wanted the waistline to be. Then the hip will actually fit in the pattern. You can still change the waistline and make it smaller or bigger, but you will fit the hip and the tummy. And then you curve that, just like we did before with these two, and make a new line from the bust line and down to where they meet. And then you also curve the waistline and the bust line. And here you can see how we want it to look. Place out your pattern pieces here, if you have any, and here we will adjust them in the length and the width. But where do we draw the pieces? Where do they end? And how far down do the hip line here go? We will start by finding your hip line. Here we need to measure the side hip height. So take your finger out and start digging. I'm not talking about your waist here, which is more in between your hip bone and rib, but the actual hip of your hip. I want you to find your actual hip bone, so the edge of it. So you need to take the finger and really dig. And then you mark that out on the paper, like I did here. So from your armpit and down to the hip bone. Next, you measure from your center boob in the flattened position down to the edge of the hip bone, straight down from the center boob, like here. Now you can draw out the front piece here. The front hip line marks where the next piece will start. If you're making short stays, you might not need the hip digging stake. Then you can use just the old version, because then you don't need the hip space. Now let's make the hip curve. Make a line from the front hip mark down to the middle of the ending line. Then you take out the pen and the string again, and you will make the hip curve, like so. And from here on, you can draw the rest of the pieces. See? Because now you have the hip line, you know where the pieces will end, and where you put them is just the design, your design or the original pattern. And the width of the pieces we can change later. So now measure the pieces in the waistline here with the red line and add or remove as much as you need. Measure them one and one, because then you can see how much you need to make them smaller. This is also a design question, but try to make them all smaller or all bigger, so it's the correct proportions. And the length of the flaps, this also depends on the design, and the same with the back piece. It can be short in the back or it can be high in the back. Some patterns have shoulder straps, so that's for you to decide. This is just the basics. Now look at that. Now we have a pattern with your measurements in them. And everything fits inside, the boobs, the hips, the tummy. Isn't this amazing? So to sum it up, here are the two methods. So here is Maria's technique, and here are my alternations. It's pretty much the same, just a bit more lines. And here you can really see how much extra space this gives to your hips. So again, if you're making short stays, I think this method is better because you only go down to the waist, not so far over the hips. And if you're making longer stays, I think this can be really helpful if you have an hourglass body or you have a bigger stomach and hips. So, I hope you like my new alterations, and I hope this is helpful to you as well. It certainly has been for me. I hope it will make it easier to make stays for all of us. And thank you again to Maria Patty for making the tutorial. Go check her out. Well, I hope you get to try this out, and please tell me if you like it or if you don't, and if there's something wrong. If there is, we can always make it better together. So thank you and happy sewing!